All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Rasool Muttalib, who is the founder of Freelance Cloud. He's an author and a 20-year technologist. Rasool, how you doing?
Excellent, excellent. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. Just excited to jump in and have a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for coming on the show. And we'd like to jump right in. So if you could start with telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Excellent. The fun part will be probably a little bit uninteresting because work is sometimes fun for some people. Unfortunately for me, I think that is the case. I don't even really consider it work, to be honest with you. But I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Came down here and went to one of the HBCUs, Morris Brown, and jump into technology. And I've been in technology for 20 years. I started out at the literal bottom of the people of the technology industry, which I had a headset like the one that you have on, in a desk, computer, answering phones, almost one for one exactly what you have. And over the course of 20 years, I worked my way up to become a senior executive at one of the largest fintech companies in the world. I put out a book, I think back in 2016, just kind of outlining the blueprint that I used, what worked for me, some of the mistakes that I made, and some of the ways to get around those mistakes. That was more of a pet project of mine, for personal friends and etc. But it turned out where people really responded to it and enjoyed it. And then here recently, one of my other pet passions is freelancing. I started out. I used to design websites 20 years ago, back when companies didn't have websites. And it just felt like it was time to, the marketplace needed something that was a better solution. A lot of the things out there right now, um, people are kind of hit or miss on being successful hiring freelancers. And I just felt like there was a better way to do it. So I launched Freelance Cloud. And that brings us up to here and now with me and you on this podcast.
Yeah, there we go. And so tell us exactly what you do with Freelance Cloud. What does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, I mean, the entire premise of it um, is, and people who are stateside, I'm sure you probably have some audience members that are international. People who are stateside would probably get this. I found that people who are not don't really understand this, which I was surprised initially. Is you have some major incumbents right now in the freelance platform space, meaning online marketplaces where you can go and purchase freelance services. And they're fairly large incumbents, existing people, their brands are well known. Um, what I've discovered through my own experience and through the experience of a lot of people that I know is the customer experience is not very good. Um, a lot of times, you have a platform, it's got 10 million freelancers on it. You're trying to hire somebody to design your logo or do a website for you. And it's very tough to tell which ones are good, which ones are bad. And the experiences that I hear more than not are it's hit or miss. Sometimes I get somebody that does what I want. Sometimes I just waste money. So what I decided to do was with Freelance Cloud is launch a platform that was hyper focused on delivering quality work, delivering what people paid for. Just that, that's a novel concept. And the analogy that I said a lot of people internationally won't get is you can think of me as, the Chick-fil-A to the McDonald's Burger King that exists, because when they started, everybody was like, well, we don't need another chicken place. We've already got KFC, Popeyes, Churches, McDonald's, Burger King, all of them sell chicken. And they launched a chicken only place. And what do they focus on? They focus on quality, right? That
Absolutely.
line is wrapped around the building, but chances are you're going to get your food faster than if you went to one of the other spots that only had 3 cars in the line. The people smile, the order's correct, it's warm, you have a generally better experience overall. So for me, that's the business model that I'm bringing to the freelance marketplace, where people get what they pay for and freelancers are able to get fair prices for their services.
I love that. I love that. And that analogy really helps you out because, some of your competitors are more well known. Like what are some like Fiverr and stuff?
Yep,
Uh,
yep,
but
yeah.
it can be hit or miss, like you were saying. So I love that. And I love that premise. Awesome. And so your role day to day, are you more like kind of putting pieces together? Are you like
Yeah,
kind of,
so since I'm the, founder, just like, with your podcast, just like with, any business in the beginning, you're wearing all the hats.
mhm,
And so the day to day is number one, reaching out to the audience, understanding where to get the audience. There's a, whole social media component to it. I have a podcast also that you and I will talk about after we finish this one, that focuses on, freelancers and etc. Um, then there's online, publishing articles. I mean, it's a full 360-degree kind of blitz to, make sure that you are engaging your audience. And that is in addition to looking at the platform, looking at the technology. Do we have the right mix of technology? How can we make the platform better? The UI. I mean, there's so many different things as a founder. And that's part of the founder's journey is, as you know, or we'll discover, is as you grow, you have to identify the things that you can, siphon off
mhm,
and delegate, because what the tendency is to keep everything because it's my passion, it's my baby, and no one else will get it right. But there's no way to scale like that. Coming from, I've been in the Fortune 500 space, as a practitioner, technologist practitioner, for 15 years, 20 years, and etc. So um, what I learned there is how to scale, how to think macro, how to move very large pieces around while focusing in on, one or two strategic items, maybe three, at the most, but should not be 10. It shouldn't be seven. You should be hyper focused on a few specific things. Um, and these kind of things that I learned from my work experience allowed me to take all of that learning and apply it to Freelance Cloud and what I'm doing. And that's part of the reason I think it's been received so well.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. I love that. Well, let's jump a bit into your motivation now. What gets you up and keeps you going every day?
Well, I mean, I think everybody at some point um, should find their personal vision. There's a book called The Alchemist that is very popular. In the book, it says your personal legend. Some people say your best life and your best self. All of the however it is that you want to define that. I think everybody owes it to themselves to unplug, sit down, and try to come up with, well, what is my life going to be about? What is my life's purpose? And it could be multiple things. So what gets me up, part of my life purpose is, I'm a technologist and I love the business of technology. So it makes sense for me to start technology businesses, of which is freelancecloud.co. That gets me up. That is not work to me. That's, as some people say, a whistle while you work type of thing, where it's fun while you're doing it. The day goes by. And then, there's other personal things like, fatherhood and husband and family and, personal, adventure and etc. But it's, to me, it's all about understanding what you want your best self to be and then making that your lifestyle. And when you do, it's not very difficult to wake up in the morning. You don't find yourself wanting to sleep in. You want to actually get up and get to it.
Yeah, yeah, there we go. I guess a quick follow-up question that I know you said unplug, sit down. What is my life going to be about? A lot of people have started to try to do something like that, and they come to the blank page and they're like, I have no idea what to ask myself, or they start to dream and they experience fear. What would you say
Mm.
to those two people?
Well, fear is natural, as long as it doesn't prevent you. And some people say, if you go to LA Fitness or like a gym where you have the really intense weightlifters down there, and you hear them screaming like chase the pain, like chase the pain. They're like this guy, he can barely, he's breathing his last breath, and there's some guy standing over him screaming like chase the pain. Sometimes fear is the direction.
Mm.
Sometimes you're not even alive unless you are doing something where you have that tingling sensation. What a lot of people don't know is, these celebrities and big time people that go up on stages, a lot of them still get butterflies before they go on stage. I mean, that's their oxygen. So if you are experiencing fear, that doesn't mean you just blindly run into it because you listen to some motivational speech. You evaluate if it's good or bad for you. That could be telling you not to do it. But usually if you're doing something where you're experiencing that feeling, you're going in the right direction. You're expanding yourself. um so I would let fear almost be a signal as a guide. The first, tell me the first part of the question again.
Yep. You have the person who experiences fear, then you have the person who sits there with the blank page and they just have no
Oh
idea
yeah.
what to write.
Well, I mean, there's only one solution for that, in my opinion, and that is get out and start trying stuff.
Mm.
Especially if you're young, if you're in your 20s, even early 30s. um, and I don't want to really cap it with an age, but I mean, especially if you're that age, um, and you're not sure, a lot of people are not sure, you know, and the reason is you haven't experienced enough yet. So I would try to accumulate experiences in different things, and eventually you will land on the mix that you see, this is for me. This is for me. If you follow, the same pattern as people who went before you, if you kind of stay on your block or in your lane, or you don't really explore, chances are that page will stay blank. And no matter what you're doing, somewhere inside of you, you will feel like this is really not for me. This is not getting me excited. I might be good at it, or I may have been doing it for a number of years, but it's just not. I'm not passionate about it. So, I would say, and it doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, 60, experiences. If you're not really sure, go out and have some experiences. Join some different meetup groups. Try different things. You will find the thing that you like. You just have to go out and experience different things.
There we go. I love that. And for you guys who are like, well, what do I experience first? Just literally anything that kind of piques your curiosity a little
That's
bit.
right. That's right. 1 foot, and then the next foot, and then the next foot. The key is just to take the first step. Do it one step at a time, as they say.
There we go. There we go. I love that. Well, let's jump into your dreams and goals now. Tell us about your vision for your company and for your life going forward.
Well, I mean, Freelance Cloud to me, it is an important project. Um, I think the entire COVID experience really made something like this a bit more relevant than maybe it would have been without COVID. And the reason is a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people were faced with losing their jobs because maybe they didn't want to get vaccinated, but the company was making them. So then they realized, well, I really don't have any options here. Um, or just being at home and having more time and enjoying the free time that it gives you, and you don't want to go back to the workplace. I think just a lot of people started thinking about or rethinking their approach to what it means to work, what it means to be employed. And as a result, a lot of people started saying, well, what can I do on my own? Maybe in addition to my job, in case something happens, I have something to fall back on. Or I don't want to go back to work. I want to do what I'm passionate about, and I know what it is. Um, so for me, the freelance platform is what allows people to do this, and you help a lot of people. So, that's going to be my focus, and my goal and my dream is to continue to grow this platform to where I know that it could go, where it's operating in multiple countries and multiple marketplaces. I'm starting to get there, but I'm not really there yet. And then, continue to be a technologist and drive other technologies and help other people who are also looking to start, their path of their whatever their dream is. So that alone should cover the next 10 years for me.
Yeah. So it's like keep pouring into Freelance Cloud
Yep,
and also help other kind of founders, other technologists thrive on their
absolutely.
projects as well.
And as that grows, as Freelance Cloud grows, there will be other projects and things that are also possible. You just have to you know stay focused on your mission and be consistent, and things will happen.
I love that. I'm just curious, where do you stand? Because I know you're really into technology on Web3, the blockchain, crypto, NFTs. Give me your synopsis of that space.
My synopsis I can give you in one sentence: like it or hate it, is here to stay. you know um and you, in some technologies, you have to have that mentality. I remember when social media first started, when Twitter first started, when Facebook first started, how many people turned their nose up and said they'll never do it, and it's silly and it's foolish. And look at what happened. I mean, um I remember when Amazon first started. I mean, look where Amazon is now. So the world is changing, it's continuing to evolve. We're becoming much more digital. And if you ask me, we've only scratched the surface of what this new world is going to look like. At present, the majority of the world still uses technology just to share pictures and post comments, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
That is the crux of the majority of the world's use, most common usage of the technology, this mobile technology that we have, and AI and all this stuff. So we've only scratched the surface. So there will be more things like NFTs that come out and make absolutely no sense to anyone, cryptocurrencies, that come out, things like that happen, that people don't understand initially, just like Twitter, just like email. And they will continue to evolve. And the ones that say, well, I'm not going to judge this, I'm just going to understand it in the landscape of this world that we live in today, I think they will continue to benefit and thrive in the new world. Those who abstain will probably come around later, but whether it's too late or too soon or whatever it is, who knows? But it's like you have to look at it for what it is and not what you want it to be. And it's an exciting time. I mean, who would have ever imagined that something like an NFT would happen, or a cryptocurrency would actually happen? um Blockchain and all these different new technologies. This is an exciting time in technology. I mean, it's something that really should make you excited, as opposed to looking at it and kind of frowning about it. It's I look at it and see it's abundance of opportunity. There's a lot of people, a lot of minorities, a lot of people like you and me, who have been able to accelerate wealth, have been able to start businesses. And this is just not just the United States. This is all over the world. So it's reshifting a lot of things, and it's giving people a lot of opportunities that they would not have otherwise had. I mean, artists are selling NFTs that would have been probably broke musicians. Somehow the NFT thing worked for them, and they get an extra $500,000 that is theirs, right? I mean, that wasn't possible 2 years ago, 5 years ago, for an artist or a rapper or whatever it is. So I mean, to me, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that space where I'm like, I'm trying to understand it. And I follow Gary Vee, and that man has been in my head about it. And he's just like,
He was
NFTs, like,
talking about NFTs, I'm not going to say 5 years ago, but I know probably at least earlier this year, when really nobody knew what it was.
yeah, yeah. And now he
So
said, I did my 6 months of homework. I jumped all in. Now he has like the NFT restaurant going on, the NFT live events going on. And it's just, it's just blowing my mind what he's
it is
doing.
what it is, man. I mean, this is just an exciting time. I mean, it's exciting. It's something new that, you have to challenge yourself. I mean, this isn't, Xerox copy machines and fax files. This is entirely new stuff that just comes out of nowhere. It spreads like wildfire because you can go global in no time in this new world. And you know, this is just the beginning. There's going to be something else next year and something else in the next 3 months. And um, like I said, it just gives a lot of people opportunities that, in my opinion, would not have had those types of opportunities otherwise. So all good.
Yeah, all good. Gotta love it. Well, awesome. Tell us a bit about who you would want to meet that could help you take the next step towards your dreams and goals right now.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in virtual mentors. Um, you know, again, in this digital world, in past times, you really didn't have access to people like you have today. But nowadays, you don't have to actually meet your mentor. You can follow them and look at how they move and some of the things they're doing, listen to their YouTube talks and etc. And you can still learn from that person. So um, two of mine that come to mind out of just off the top of my head are Robert Frederick Smith of Vista Equity Partners. He's a technologist like myself, more of a business technologist like myself. He's a billionaire. And, you know, he started out, you know, I'm not going to say in a very common way, but he didn't start out like this. He had to build that company over time. And I've been following him since the beginning. So um, if had an opportunity to meet him at some point, you know, it's one of those situations where you can spend 30 minutes with somebody and they can take your knowledge,
Yep.
you know, 5 years ahead of, you know, just by sharing some insights and taking some things away from them. Another one is, you know, not that big, but still very active, is Dr. Paul Judge. Uh, he is here in Atlanta and just an innovative guy. I mean, they call him the grandfather of technology in Atlanta. I mean, he was in the VC venture capital space very early, helping a lot of companies get funding. Um, you know, he did the commencement at Georgia Tech. He's a mover and shaker in the industry, and he just keeps growing through his activity and consistency. And you can learn from that. So those are two individuals just off the top of my head that I would say meeting them in person, which I plan to have that opportunity, um, would be tremendous.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And what's the most important one or two things that everyday people can do to really help you get further along with Freelance Cloud as well as helping other technologists?
Um, the one thing that I see that is the difference in so many people is your day-to-day habits. You know, I have a phrase that I follow is, you know, count seconds instead of dollars. And it essentially means look at exactly how you're spending your time. And that will tell you exactly who you are and what you can expect. And if you don't like it, it's very easy to change it. And it's habits that make your today and habits that make your future. Um, you know, so for me, if I tell anybody anything, it's like, well, what are your habits? What do you do every day? You know, look at what you do literally every day, hour by hour, Monday through Sunday, and that will tell you everything that you need to do in order to get where you want to get, because you erase certain things and you fill other things in.
Yeah. I love how simple success is. And while it's simple, it's not always the easiest thing for people to get out of their own way and really change their habits and change their activities. But
That's right.
that's all it is.
That's
Action.
all it is. That's all it is. Action.
Yeah, I love that. Well, now we're going to jump into our thriving three. And our first question is, what's your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one.
I'll go movie. Favorite movie is Wall Street. And I don't know, you know, it's an older movie. Came out, I think, in back in '87. And for some reason, I connected with this character. His name is Gordon Gekko, in that movie the first time I saw it. And it's one of those movies where I know every line to the movie. Like I still watch the movie and I know every line to the movie. It's one of
Yeah.
those, you know. I purchased it in Amazon Prime. I still go to it and watch it every now and then. and I can just literally, I can state every line, but I love the movie. For some reason, it connected with me.
Yeah, what part of Gordon Gecko do you think really connected with you the most?
So many parts. Um, and the fact that he was, you know, a scrappy business person that got it the hard way, didn't come in with all the privilege and all the, access, that he had to really grind it out and work his way up to where, he ultimately was. And when he got there, he continued to thrive and win. And there's a certain fearlessness, there's a certain, uh, intensity, certain, just grit, toughness, mental toughness. All of these things you have to have, to win in today's, whether you're in a job, working in a company where you're trying to get a promotion, or you're trying to do your own business. It's the same thing, right? Whether you have a business, you are a business and you are a brand. People, when they look at you, they think of a certain thing, and you need to make sure that you can control, what people think when they look at you, so your brand will get you where you need to, where you're trying to go. Everything is um, a part of, a person's image. And so Gordon Gecko, back to your question, there was a lot of that in the character. I think that just resonated with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what's one way you like to take care of yourself?
I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And so for me, I've become extremely focused on mental health and nutrition. And nutrition to me is both diet and activity. I mean, it's everything you do to take care of yourself. Right now, I would say, my personal health, my goal is to make it the most important thing in my life that I focus on more than anything else. Um, and that is understanding my body, understanding my diet, understanding, what exactly I need to eat, understanding how much I need to exercise. There's a lot to learn, sleep patterns, all this stuff, daily habits, etc. And I just think I think it's the right thing to do. Even when, a person is much younger, it's like, it's actually better to start when you're younger, and instead of waiting until you get old and gray like me. Um, but it's never too late. So that's kind of the thing that I'm focused on.
Feel that. Feel that. And what is one action step that you can take right now to meet either Robert Frederick Smith or Dr. Paul Judge?
You're gonna blast me like that. It's like, why haven't you done it? I mean, in all honesty, in today's world, there's the, what, 3 degrees of separation or 2 degrees of separation, whatever it is. It's not very hard to get in front of people that you want to connect with. The key to me is, and this can also be the downfall, is you want to have something to offer. You want to have something of value to create a more lasting interaction and engagement. Sometimes that could be the boogeyman, where it's never good enough, so you perpetually put it off because you keep saying, well, I'm not ready and I'm not ready. I certainly don't aspire to do that, but there is a certain reality to saying, yep, that is my target. I am 6 months away and I'm executing this plan that will allow me to get to that point where, when that interaction and exchange happens, it's not just me asking for a selfie, but it's me creating value also for that individual in some way, where that interaction is meaningful. Because you may never get another chance. So um, the quick answer to your question is, I could use DM on Instagram, or Facebook, or Twitter, or one of the platforms to just get the person. But I also believe in having more of a strategy and a methodology to your approach to big moments in your life like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That value add's important because I mean, essentially we're nothing without being
You're
able
just
to
another
add
person
value
in
to
the
others.
crowd. Yeah, you're just
Exactly.
another person in the airport that I said hello to. No more meaningful than that, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we often overlook or we're unintentional about that aspect of our life. And if you think about it, any meaningful relationship we have, it's because we're consistently adding value to that relationship, or it's probably not a
Adding
healthy one.
value. Yep. I mean, um, someone told me they think of it like a bank account. It's deposits and withdrawals. You can't go withdraw if you didn't put anything in.
Yep.
So you got to put something in first, into the relationship first before you can withdraw. So, um, that's the way I look at it. I want to make sure I can make a deposit. I don't want to go to the bank and just say, "Hey, man, can you loan me $5?" I mean, I want to make sure there's a mutual exchange of value.
Yeah. Absolutely. And some good books for that. If you guys are wondering, The Go Giver by Bob Berg is a great one. And Giftology is an interesting one. Giftology is a
Giftology.
really good
I'll
one.
need to put that one on my list. I have not read that one.
Yeah, John Rulin, he used the giftology method. Everybody coins their
Yeah,
method
yeah, yeah, yeah.
nowadays,
You
but
must do it. You have to do it.
yeah. And he met Tony Robbins with it, and it's a really
Oh,
thoughtful
yeah,
concept actually that I think we can
yeah.
use in our everyday life, just with people that we love and care about. So I really like it.
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, I got really one last question for you because I feel like you answered the other ones I usually ask here at the end. Um, and this one requires a bit of pretext. So you know how there are people on the planet who have a really fixed mindset. They're not willing to accept help and they're not willing to accept change. Sometimes they'll live their
Mm.
whole life like that, and sometimes they'll die like that. Other times, they'll change at some point in their life to more of a growth mindset, willing to accept help and willing to accept change. In your opinion, what is the catalyst that causes that change?
A lot of times it's an experience. I mean, in some world, I think they call them object lessons, where sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you realize the value of a dollar, before you realize the value of a friend, the value of a relationship, um, taking life seriously. I mean, so there's certain experiences that I just think you have to go through. If you look at a lot of people in entertainment, primarily, you often hear them say, I started out, I was sleeping on somebody's couch. It's almost like a rite of passage. I was living out of a car. I was dead broke, but they had to go through that in order for them to realize the value of the thing that once they succeeded, they know they never want to go back to being in a car. And then they know what it took to get there. So, for me, the difference between those two people and what could make somebody change from one to the other is not necessarily reading a book or, listening to a tape or a speech. Maybe it can happen that way. But when you go through a life experience that smacks you in the face or punches you in the stomach, um, there's no better teacher than experience. And I think it's one of the ways that people change from one to the other. And I would bet that if you look at when people change, and sometimes people go back to the old way, they fall back into old habits. I'd be willing to bet that people who had that object lesson are people that are less likely to go back to the way things that were before. I don't have any data to support that. It's just my gut feeling.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I'd probably second that. It's like you have something that's very tangible, kind of tethering you to that success, as opposed to like somebody's motivational speech or inspiration. That's why Tony Robbins will have like 1% transformation at his kind of programs.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It feels great in the moment,
Yeah,
but very lasting change is an entirely different conversation.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, awesome, Rasool. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh man, it's been great. I mean, your questions were awesome. You're a great interviewer. So I appreciate just the preparation and everything. You made it easy. So thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Is there anything you want to chat about before we sign off?
No, I mean, again, just thanks for having me on. Best of luck for, the growth of your podcast. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And I looked at some of your other stuff, and it's just quality conversation. It's stuff that people like to listen to. So I appreciate that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that because it is easy to get down on yourself when you got like 2 listens here, 3 listens here, 4 listens here. So I really appreciate that.
Only thing you have to do is keep going. That's it.
Yeah,
Just don't stop. That's the only way to fail.
there we go. There we go. Thank you for that. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And if you guys are listening to this and you loved what Rasool had to say, how should they reach out to you?
Go to freelancecloud.co. Any contact information there will come to me, obviously. And if you're, thinking about doing freelancing, if you know someone that's doing freelancing, if you need a freelancer, get a different experience, go to freelancecloud.co. And, as that platform continues to grow, we'll be offering excellent customer experiences to everybody.
There we go. And as we always ask, send this podcast to 1 to 3 people need to hear this message. Shoot us a 5-star review on iTunes, and we're out.